It's wild. But the last day of it. But you know what? I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm ready to get back home.
I was getting ready
bed.
to say, we always have the discussion. I think Thursday is hump day, and I would imagine that though it's been fun, though it's been exciting to see everybody, I imagine you all are ready to get on I-20 and get back to Columbia.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would imagine that.
Yes. So I am looking forward to sleeping in my own bed tonight. That is a very exciting proposition for me. But it's a very exciting proposition, too, because I've been excited for the Virginia Tech game, the opener, because it's at a really cool venue. If you've never been to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, have you guys? Wait, before I get into this, have you guys been?
I never have. I've never been. Well, let me rephrase this. I have never been inside of the Mercedes-Benz arena. I have been around the Mercedes-Benz arena, circa 2010 SEC championship. I had tickets to the game. I promptly sold my tickets to the game and watched the game at Sports Bar Near, and my bank account was much richer for it. So,
you saved a little money.
And after the results of that game, I think I made the right choice.
Yeah, I think so too. But I love Mercedes-Benz. I've been to a Falcons Saints game there, but I've not been to a college football game there. An amazing venue. So that alone got me really, really excited for this game in general. But Tyler and I yesterday, in that 9 to noon block, interviewed Gary Stokan, who is the executive director of the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, and of course they're in charge of this game. We had him on yesterday to discuss the game and really the history of it, because they've been doing the Aflac kickoff game since 2008, back when they were playing this bad boy in the Georgia Dome. And we asked him a few questions, and one of them was what an opportunity a game like this provides you. This is cut 35, Jen.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I have about 10 things that I list to the AD and the coach when we talk about coming to play in this game. And, a couple of them are, number one, financially, what a team nets. And SEC and South Carolina net a lot of money for home games, but they can make more money playing in this game, number one. Number two, what I've learned from Frank Beamer and Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney and Kirby Smart is a coach will have his team improve week 1 to week 2 more than any other time during the season. And I said, why is that? And they said, well, we have actual live film. Because in the summer, you're practicing against each other, guys know the plays, etc. Well, if you can play against really good competition in that live film first game, now you can coach your team up week 1 to week 2 individually, because you may be playing against an all-conference or potential NFL player if you're playing against good competition, and you can coach your team up collectively. The other thing the coaches tell me that their off-season workouts, the players go to a whole new level because they know they're playing on a big stage, national TV, against a big opponent. And that's all players want to do. They want to play against the best competition on the biggest stage. And then, you've got, the opportunity for tickets. We talk to the AD and say, how many tickets do you need? We give them as many as they want to fill Mercedes-Benz. And then the exposure, to play on ABC, national TV, first game of the year. And there's a bunch more, but.
I mean, that sounds pretty enticing to me. Getting to play in the big, beautiful stadium is one thing, but getting to do it against a quality opponent when the eyes of the college football world are on you is a really great proposition. I can't think of a better way to open the season.
Yeah, it depends. And a lot of it depends on where you think your program is, because last year, I'm not sure we would have loved to have been open up against a team. Remember the ODU near fiasco. I don't think we would have loved for that to be against that team. But you look at some of these other teams that have been able to springboard their seasons as they played these particular games. So, yeah, a lot of what he said was absolutely correct. A football truism is going towards cliche territory, but it is a
Oh,
truism.
I've heard them all this week.
Yeah.
I've heard them all. This wouldn't be the first one this week, brother. Wouldn't be the first.
I know
Won't be
you-
the last
I-
because there's 4 more pressers today.
I know you've got your fill, but I do think it is a truism that teams get markedly better from week 1 to week 2, for sure. And that does make a lot of sense when you play a better team in week 1.
And Virginia Tech, I know they're going to be going into this game. The Gamecocks are going to be 6.5, 7.5 point favorites. It's kind of fluctuated between those two numbers, but like regardless, whatever it ends up being, barring anything crazy happening, South Carolina is going to be favored going into the game. But Virginia Tech still is a team that I'm not as high on them going into this year as I was last year. Last year, I thought they could have backdoored their way into the college football playoff by way of just winning the ACC. But this is a team that still has the quarterback coming back, and he's fully healthy after sustaining 3 separate leg injuries last year as a guy who is a scrambling quarterback. And they really beefed up that defense and have a lot. I think their top 3 tacklers from last year also back. So it's a really good test for this Gamecock team. Obviously not the biggest test they'll face this year, but it's still a test nonetheless. But the most underrated thing, Preston Thorne, is that when you play this game, I didn't realize this until I got this sheet right here. And if you're watching, my version of the stream here, then you'll see what I'm holding up. They hand these out whenever Gary comes to your table to talk to you. And it's like a fact sheet, like a quick hitting fact sheet. And it right under one of these bullet points, payout. And you're like, interesting.
I heard him say that. I heard him say that. I'm listening. My ears are perked up.
The Aflac Kickoff Game has distributed a cumulative $127.7 million in team payouts, equating to an average of $6 million in total team payouts per game. I think that benefits the program just to play in this game right now. I mean, this is South Carolina's first ever appearance in the Aflac Kickoff Game, and it's not a coincidence when you look at the teams that have played the most in this. You're looking at names like Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, Ole Miss, Tennessee, schools that have benefited from obviously getting an extra kick in revenue from being able to play this game. So outside of the obvious football stuff, there is a program elevating element of just being able to get a really good payout to start the season for your program, as opposed to maybe years you have to play at home against, Old Dominion or schools like that. This is really, it kind of benefits a bunch of different things at once.
Yeah, and you're able to go out there and have the national spotlight on you, being one of the only 2 games that particular day. There's going to be 2 games when we face off against Virginia Tech, and it'll be us and Virginia Tech and Syracuse and Tennessee, or they'll be the day before that. But those are the big games, and those were the ones that people would be paying attention to. But Elijah, I think I might have pulled one of your moves here.
Ooh.
I've done some digging into the numbers.
I love some digging. I love a good dig.
Since 2021, Elijah, in this game, and I'm sure Gary Stokin may not have mentioned this, only one of these games has been decided by 5 points or less.
Oh, okay. They have the results of every single one on this sheet too, and I would guess that would be 2023 when Louisville and Georgia Tech played.
That is correct. 2023, Louisville, Georgia Tech, 39-34, good game. Every other single game, and we're just going since COVID, blowout city, 15-point plus margin of victory. So while these games have been spotlight games, they haven't necessarily been good games, and I wonder how that plays into what we're expecting here, because the favorites have essentially blown out the team who's the underdog to this point. How'd I do, Elijah?
I like it. Yeah, that's good. I love the deep research here. And one of the games that comes to mind when you mention that Georgia-Oregon game to start the year in 21 or 2.
2022. Blowout.
49-3.
Correct.
And you know what? Even with Oregon getting blown out in that game, they finished that year pretty strong. And then, of course, the next year they end up winning all their games minus the 2 Washington games, which those are the 2 games that kept them out of the college football playoff back a long time ago when there were only 4 teams getting to participate.
way back in the day.
way back in the day, but it still benefited them to play this game. There are just endless benefits of playing in a game like this to start your season. But it's an honor, right? Like when Gary Stokan and the crew at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl identify you as a team that they want to put on a national stage, that's a pretty big deal. Cut 36, Jen, Tyler and I, that kind of led into like one of our next questions is what makes South Carolina so appealing for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in the Aflac kickoff game?
Well, South Carolina, number one, the relationship with Ray Tanner, number one. Number two, as Shane came on, that became another ingredient because of our relationship with Shane and the Beamer family. Number three is South Carolina fans are tremendous fans. And a lot of them live in Metro Atlanta. And it's an easy drive here. So the accessibility to get here. Number four, it's worked out to where South Carolina, which we didn't know when we did this, they're top 15 team in the country, and going to be playing potentially for a slot in the playoff, which, South Carolina wants to be in Atlanta 3 times this year. In the Aflac kickoff game against Virginia Tech, in the SEC championship game, and then in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl because we host the semifinal this year of the CFP. So hopefully from my lips to God's ears, right, for all the South Carolina fans.
Yeah, it would be nice to see them playing in that stadium 3 times this year. I would have no qualms coming here for 3 games. But one thing that I like that he mentioned is the South Carolina fan base. So you listening right now, you Gamecock fan that is listening to us bright and early every single morning to hear, sports talk about your favorite football team, you are one of the reasons that South Carolina in this Gamecock football program is an enticing option for a kickoff game that's become one of the more prestigious ones to start the season every year.
Well, I think it's a well-known fact that we travel well, that we support the team, that we are going to be people that spend a lot of money for these games. So anytime that is a factor in these games, we will get picked, i.e. the Citrus Bowl last year or any type of bowl games where they have to take the fan base into consideration. We will definitely be on top of any list on that because of the way we support.
Yeah, so if you're listening right now, you're driving to work or you're listening at home, give yourself a pat on the back. Just go ahead right now, take a moment and pat yourself on the back because what's being built here is pretty special on the football field. But over the course of many, many decades, the support from the fan base does make it enticing for a bowl game, a early season like kickoff game where they want to sell tickets. That's a big part of it, is selling tickets. They don't put you in that big old stadium if they don't think that you can fill many of the seats. But if the Gamecocks want to take care of business here in Atlanta next month and get their season off to the start that they want to and that they need to, I think it'll behoove them to have a good game from the receivers. Do we expect instant impacts from some of the freshmen in a really good freshman class of receivers to make instant impacts? Can we see them do that? What more should we expect from Nick Harbor? What's the next step for Mazeo Bennett? That's next here in the early game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network.
Sterling Sharp is becoming the first ever Gamecock inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Roofing All-Americans and 107.5 The Game are giving you the chance to go. 4 listeners get the opportunity to win 2 tickets to the enshrinement ceremony, plus 2 tickets to the NFL Hall of Fame preseason game the next day. Just go to sterlingsharp.roofingallamericans.com to get more info. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at herndonchevy.com.
Preston here for Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. That's over 40 years. And third-generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. And Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, they are proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the friendly team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, and keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. So whether you're a weekend warrior or a seasoned landscaping pro, Cato's has you covered. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today or call us at 803-254-3711. That's Cato's Power Equipment at 803-254-3711.
Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business's needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
Skip the oil frying with air. Like a Bosch. Crispy like the county fair. Like a Bosch. Cook like a Bosch.
Go inside the nest, a Krager company on Gadsden Street in the Vista, to find out how you can cook like a Bosch.
Hey, Gamecocks. Gamecock Traditions has some very exciting news. Now, exclusively at Gamecock Traditions, we are taking pre-orders for a limited edition Lenore Sellers box action figurine, signed and numbered, and each will come with a certificate of authenticity. The figurines are scheduled to arrive in August, and they will be sold as the orders come, meaning the earlier you order, the lower the number you get. Artwork can be seen at Facebook or in stores and online at GamecockTraditions.com. 1,500 is all there are, and once they're gone, no more will be made. Gamecock Traditions, bringing you exclusive Lenore Sellers action figurines. Hurry, order yours today.
Are you considering a new roof or repairs but unsure where to start? Crescent Construction offers free roofing estimates to help you make informed decisions with ease. Our expert team is ready to assess your needs and provide comprehensive insights. Visit our website, CrescentCarolina.com, to learn more about our services and schedule your free estimate today. Trust us to guide you through the process with professionalism and care. Don't wait. Contact us today at CrescentCarolina.com.
Thursday nights at Hazelwood Brewing Company. It's a tradition. For years, they've been bringing folks together for the best live bluegrass around, featuring pickers that can bring the house down. Cold craft beer poured just right, delicious eats from their kitchen, indoor, outdoor, and beer garden seating. Pick your spot. See what all the buzz is about. Come for the music, stay for the company, and make Thursdays the highlight of your week. Hazelwood Brewing Company, where the tradition of great music, great beer, and great times keeps on rolling. Find them at hazelwoodbeerco.com. See you Thursday at 7.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call us at Cordell & Cordell. Let me tell you, I understand on a personal level, your business is much more than a job. It's your legacy.
1201 Main, Columbia. CordellCordell.com.
Don't let the popsicles and muddy puddles of summer take over your home. Call Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Zero Res doesn't use dirt-attracting soap, leaving you a healthy home every time. Take advantage of their summer sale for 15% off all services. That's 15% off carpet, air ducts, area rugs, and more. Just mention me, Elijah Campbell, on 107.5 The Game to secure this deal or book online at ZeroResColumbia.com. And ask about the Zero Res commercial cleaning too. Zero Res, all they leave is clean.
WIS-TV First Alert Traffic
Is sponsored by Wetzel's Automotive in West Columbia. Wetzel'sAuto.com.
I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard, that's currently closed due to an earlier accident. So I-20 westbound there at exit 71 closed. Do map out an alternate route if you need to get through that area. We'll keep you posted on that throughout the day. 94 is going to be our high, but the heat index will be over 100 today. So be mindful of that if you would. Mostly sunny tomorrow and Saturday, 97 both days. Heat indexes around 105, 108, somewhere in there. So it's going to be warm the next few days. We're starting off the morning, 77 on 107.5 The Game.
The Early Game with former Gamecock Preston Thorne, Elijah Campbell, and Jen Jensen on the Game Network and streaming on the 107.5 The Game app.
I ain't worried about it right now. Keeping dreams alive. 1999.
While You're Lisa. Need to talk estate planning, elder law, elder care, or probate? Call While You're Lisa, 803-563-5163, or go to whileyourlisa.com. And before we get to our AAA heating and air phone lines, we did want to play this because we told you we were going to discuss the wide receivers. I think they're going to play a pretty big role this year. And this man right here is going to be a big part of that conversation.
But, with that being said, for the next 3 to 4 years, I'll be committed to the university.
That is Nick Harbor with a moment he announced his commitment to the South Carolina Gamecocks. Before we dive into that, David is on our AAA heating and air phone lines. David, good morning. How we doing?
Morning, guys. Doing well. There's many reasons to play in the kickoff game. But the question I wanted to ask is, how do you think the fan base reacts if we go to that kickoff game and we lose? Appreciate what y'all do and take it off there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the call, David. Appreciate that. And that's a really good question. And I think there's a couple of contingencies here. And I think one reason, or one of them, is how do you lose? Now, it's going to be disappointing regardless, because obviously when you're as close to the college football playoff as this team was last year, and you have an opponent that is certainly beatable, that you're favored to win, yeah, it would sting. And I don't think it should be met well, but it's not the end of the world. If you had college football playoff aspirations pre-2024 and something like that happened, then yeah, that all but eliminates your margin for error throughout the season. Now they'll still, if they play really well in SEC play, and you can still win, let's say 6 of your 8 SEC games, and you have a couple of really big wins in there, you'll still have a chance if you're still trying to accomplish that goal. But you certainly at least want to go out there and compete and make sure you look really good to start the season.
Elijah, that was a great analysis from an analytical standpoint, and we really appreciate it. But I'm going to give you this from a fan standpoint. We are going to panic, throw everything to the wind. There will be – you wait if we do this show on that Monday after we take that L. It will be fire and brimstone. So while I do appreciate the actual facts of what you're saying, there is no way that if we lose this game to a team that's inferior, and let's start building the hype train now, this should not be a loss.
Agreed.
It will be hell to pay for the South Carolina Gamecocks. So while yes, analytically there are still plenty of opportunities, and Jen, all of our goals will still be in front of us, but that will be catastrophic. And I am setting this up for it to be the biggest game of Shane Beamer's career, but we'll get to that in a second. Because if you just ask the folks at Clemson last year how they felt after taking that drubbing against Georgia, they were not happy. In fact, many of them didn't even get on board until Clemson made the CFP. Then they're like, oh yeah, I guess we'll be back, right?
Back.
So
yeah, exactly.
This is a huge moment from the fan standpoint. Everything you said from as far as the team and actually, yes, there are moments where this does not determine their season, but from the fan standpoint, huge.
Yeah, I think I have gotten to, I've just now come to the realization, maybe a small epiphany, if you will, that if they are to lose this game, I need to prepare to be the fire extinguisher a little bit. Because there is, at least in this game, some precedent of losing that game and then going on to at least having a respectable and really good season. Again, Oregon got beat by
Clemson made the CFP last year, and they got their doors blown off against Georgia.
Lost by 31.
Yeah.
They lost by 31 points in that game. And then that same one, Georgia, and no coincidence here that Georgia is on the positive end of the drubbings, but Georgia beat that really good Oregon team by 46 to start the season. And Oregon still ended up having a really good year.
Elijah,
so it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Elijah, I'm here to tell you right now, this fan base is not resilient enough to handle that. We are. Our hearts have been broken too many times. We're just now warming up to this idea that we may actually have a good team this year. We go out and take a drubbing like that. We're not here for that.
That would be tough. That would be really
prepare
tough.
yourself accordingly.
Oh man, yeah, that would be it'd be an interesting Monday, which strange enough will only be one day after the game.
Exactly.
It'll
be real fresh. Then we won't even have the whole 24-hour rule.
I think I'm not. I may have a cough that day. I'm not sure. I might be getting sick.
Jen getting pre-sick over a month plus before the game. You never know. These illnesses sneak up on you.
I know. Well, and I will have been to Darlington the night before. So, it could be a late night. I just might. Yeah. But, if we win, I'll feel better.
Right. Yeah. Winning cures all ailments, mental and physical. I think we might get a healthy Jen Jensen. If Carolina wins, we'll get a healthy Jen Jensen. If they lose, then we might be sending her thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, appreciate it.
T's and P's. But still, only what? I think we're at 44 days away. Am I right? Or did we didn't get
45 days. I did the countdown clock just to be sure.
Okay. See, somebody is. I'm not great at counting. Anyway, there's funny counting story before we hit the break here. Obviously, here on the artist formerly known as Radio Row. I got here on Monday morning, it's about 5:40 is when they finally let everybody in. Of course, I'm like mildly panicking because I don't like having 20 minutes to set stuff up. Like I'm one of those. I want to be prepared as humanly possible. So I'm frantically trying to find our table. I see the chart, and the guy, one of the representatives from the SEC here was like, yeah, this table right here in the corner is 9, so you'll be 10, 11, 12. 10, 11, 12, and he points to a table. I'm like, okay, cool. So I start counting the tables off. Turns out I miscounted by 1. So technically we are on table 13, but we are labeled 12 because I can't count.
Well, there's nobody else going to be there anyway, so you're good, right? For at least
exactly.
For now.
And when the conference realized, they're like, oh, well, you're here anyway. It's fine. It's only 1 table difference. I'm like, okay, thanks. I'm not going to be.
So not like a seat on an airplane where somebody gets really mad.
Oh yeah. Oh, people will throw hands over that. They don't play around. They don't play around with their airplane seats. So, but long story short, when it comes to counting, I'm going to leave that to Jen Jensen. That Butler education kick in.
But using an app, I'm going to feel pretty good about it. So that's where I got the calculation that for sure it is 45.
That's why they pay us the bucks around here. I'm not going to clarify if they're big or not. That's why they pay us the bucks.
Say, please, bucks and bucks.
But you heard the clip earlier about Nick Harbor picking at South Carolina. We're going to do Old Man versus Analytics, taking an analytical look at that wide receiver room. That's next on the early game.
107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. The Game Network. When Carolina head football coach Shane Beamer talks.
Just so blessed to be able to be a part of this rivalry.
You hear it here.
So much respect for Clemson. I mean, that was a great college football game.
Because it's always Gamecock season.
Mets Plumbing.
If you got a problem, it just won't quit. Just won't quit. And you need a plumber to make the trip. Mets Plumbing. MetsPlumbing.com.
Average Owls. Our chairs sit. Our tables stand.
You're not average. Your marketing results shouldn't be either. Cumulus Digital outperforms industry benchmarks by over 25%. See what Smarter Digital can do for you at cumulusdigital.com.
Columbia, don't spend your summer painting year after year. Do what Greg did. He called Rhino Shield.
We live in a beautiful 2-story home that was built in 1916. really been prepped and painted very, very poorly.
Now, Rhino Shield's not paint, it's better.
We really had a lot of detail work in the team at Rhino Shield. They spent really a full 4 days just on the prep work, and we were so excited to see that.
Stop painting year after year and get Rhino Shield right now for 10% off the regular price.
We've gotten numerous compliments, and we've actually even had some of the longer-term residents of our community thank us for protecting the integrity of our home.
Here's owner Dan Hoey.
This offer is limited, so call today at 833-RHINO-99 or visit RhinoShieldCarolina.com. Don't paint.
Don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
If you have IRS tax problems, it can seem like a vicious cycle that never ends, year after year. Just getting the mail can be stressful and overwhelming. Don't let it ruin your life. There is a solution. Since 2008, the attorneys at Ecton Law Firm have devoted their practice to the resolution of tax problems for individuals and businesses across the Carolinas. We have the knowledge and experience and are dedicated to the success of each client. We are local attorneys with local solutions. At the free initial consultation, we'll listen to your concerns, your goals, and explain the systematic process we use in solving your tax problem. From that initial meeting, you'll see there is a solution. We're dedicated to improving your life by solving your tax problems. If we sound like someone you want to work with, take that first step. Give us a call at 803-771-9800 or go to ectonlawfirm.com. You'll be glad you did.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them. They have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. And that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
One incident to make you aware of, and it's kind of significant, I-20 westbound there at exit 71. That's Wilson Boulevard. That is closed right this moment due to an earlier accident. So make a plan to make an alternate route if you have to go that direction. Again, that's I-20 westbound there at Wilson Boulevard, exit 71, currently closed. And your forecast, yep, it's going to be warm. 94 for the high today. Heat index of 102, 97 tomorrow and Saturday. 105 both of those days. Chances for pop-up storms each and every afternoon. Currently, though, starting off a little bit warm, 77 on 107.5 The Game.
Know if some of the folks back at the Herndon Chevy Studios will recognize Terry Ford and Jay Phillips once they get back, because Our first day back in studios Friday, except for Jay and Terry, because they're broadcasting live from Craft and Draft on 2706 Divine Street from 3 to 6 on the post-game show. So their studio drought will extend just a little bit longer, but they'll enjoy their time away from the studio. It's time for Old Man versus Analytics, and today we're talking wide receivers. Because I feel like if you want to avoid a disastrous week 1 against Virginia Tech, you got to help Lenore Sellers out. Can't have drops. Got to be able to take advantage of what the defense gives you. And Preston Thorne, are you ready for some of the nerd diving that I did yesterday to find us the truth with Gamecock receivers?
Let's go, nerd. I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. My glasses are on. I have pushed them up, the nose of them back up to the top of my nose. I'm ready to rock and roll. So first one, we think of Nick Harbor as kind of that field stretcher, right, in this group of wide receivers because he has that ridiculous speed. He's caught some deep passes, especially last year towards the end of the year. But 14% of the time, Preston Thorne, he lined up in the slot. And 26%, over a fourth of his targets, were 9 yards out or less. He's actually way more versatile of a receiver than we probably give him credit for.
Yeah, I'm going to dismiss that. Yes, the numbers may say that. I would say more so that's coaching malpractice than actually strategic. I don't think that's a great use of his number one talent. By the way, fastest man on college football 26. Once again, two-time fastest man. I don't think that's a great use of his of his natural talent. So I would say more so yes, that is true, but I think we need to make him stretch the field a little bit more.
Now, why do you think they did that last year? Because I found it interesting. I was kind of usually for guys that are boundary type receivers that are really big deep threats. Like for example, Harrison Wallace, right? When I gave you that number that at Penn State he was 88% out wide, and I think in the slot it was only like 10 or 9%. But it was a really small number. And that's usually what you see when you do some of the deep dives on snap alignment for these type of receivers. But I was very surprised to see that over a fourth of his snaps last year were from the slot.
Yeah, there could be several reasons. Who knows what goes on a day-to-day basis inside the building, but there could be a lot of reasons why they were keeping him there. I do know that he did provide a couple of times on those little shallow routes or the little over routes across the middle. He did provide sort of a secondary safety blanket for Norris a couple of times. So maybe that's what they want to just have a big target that Norris could dump the ball off to and maybe let him use his legs to make plays like with that. That might have been the case. I'm not really sure if it was me and I was calling the plays, he would be more so in your boundaries, stretching the field more often.
And I think maybe just because how he played at the back end of last year too. I think that 26% slot alignment number will go south this year. I think at least it will go down because I think they feel good enough about a lot of other receivers that maybe just aren't the same field stretcher that Nick Harbor is. But one of those receivers had a really great year last year, Mazeo Bennett, an incredible year for a true freshman, but he accounted for 16 first downs last year. 8 of those were on routes from 0 to 9 yards in depth. He's a really clutch third down option and might be one of the best third down options now that Josh Simon has moved on.
Well, somehow or another, the concept, and I heard Chris Carter say this the other day, somehow or another, the concept of being a possession receiver became a pejorative for, I don't know why it's a bad thing, but if you're the guy who can run routes and get first downs consistently, that seems like a path to success for me. And I don't know if that's the role that Mazeo is going to take on, or is he going to grow into that role? But it is awesome to be able to have somebody that can run a sharp enough route, get themselves open, and get first downs in clutch situations. So that's something I would love for him to grow into.
Yeah, he had 30 catches last year, so over half of his catches resulted in first downs, and we'll take that. And it's kind of like the game manager quarterback thing, right? It's used to be dismissive, but like Marquise Colston was a guy for a long time who just was one of the best in the NFL at just knowing where the sticks are, being depth conscious when it comes to running routes. And if you threw the ball his way, he was catching it. Like, it's good to be that sure-handed. And to have that Mazeo can make you a mismatch problem too because of how many places you can kind of line him up.
Yeah, that seems like something that he can grow into and really take advantage of.
Now, tell me if this one surprises you too, Preston Thorne. Vandrevius Jacobs had an average depth of target, or ADOT, as the nerds call it, of 13.5 yards. And on targets that traveled between, on targets traveled between 10 to 19 yards. So like that intermediate range, he caught 3 of his 4 contested targets. He's a better deep threat contested catch receiver than we might have thought.
What did you call that nerd statistic again?
ADOT, average depth of target.
Oh boy, average depth. Check my ADOT if you have questions about me. I can see my receiver. What's your ADOT?
Randy Moss instead of straight cash homie, straight ADOT.
Straight ADOT, homie.
13 plus.
Well, listen, Vandrevius I think is a threat at a lot of places. He's one of these guys who I've always talked about this. I like having different pieces in the wide receiver room. You have Nick Harbor, the guy that's tall, long, can stretch the field. Mazio might be more of a possession guy. Vandrevius is a guy who sort of is a hybrid of those two, can really get downfield and seems like he can make a lot of catches when they're in contested positions. That's somebody who you want to have working with you. So the ADOT, I think I'm going for this one, Elijah.
Oh, I love it. That's one of my favorite ones. One of my favorite kind of deeper dive receiver stats is ADOT. I think it helps with context a little bit. But Jared Brown, who injuries kind of derailed some of his season last year. I think we may have expected him to play a bigger role in the offense. But again, when you're battling injuries throughout the year, you can be a little limited. But Jared Brown still, despite the injuries, picked up an average of 7+ yards after the catch last year. Is he the Gamecock yak monster?
Ooh, yak monster. I like it. Well, listen, Jared Brown made his bones at Coastal in the slot, being able to catch short passes and make things happen. Obviously, he had the injury issues last year. So, yeah, I think we can nominate Jared Brown for the yak monster. Hey, listen, Elijah. That's 2 in a row. That's 2 in a row you got me with.
I'm kind of impressed, and honestly, this is day 4 of the SEC Media Day, so the fact that you are bringing your A game, A+ game, is pretty impressive.
That's what's required around here. This is a team effort. We are winning as a team right now, and one of my roles is finding the fun stats. Especially, it's more fun when they have a cool name, right? Like I can say like the nerdiest stuff on the planet, but it's not going to resonate as much if it doesn't have a fun name. ADOT's fun. Yak Monster's fun.
And like Preston, see, you fit in very well because we have Preston who had the FART analytics for basketball.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we had the FART analytic and also the STP from football, which was the stupid analytic. And I think we might, we'll work on bringing that one back this year. So yes, we do work on these, but I do like the idea of being the yak monster. I like that.
Yes, absolutely. So we might have to award that on a weekly basis. Who the yak monster was.
Like it.
I think we've stumbled upon something right here. No offensive lineman's ever going to be a yak monster. At least it'd be fun if they were. But up next on the early game, we have our most creative hypothetical former Gamecock scenario yet, and it involves the Biggins. That's next. Media Days brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health Columbia offers convenient expert back care for all men looking to feel and perform their best. Give them a call, 803-919-7886 to book an appointment. Now, all week we've been really picking former Gamecock players to save your life. And whether it be getting a first down by way of receiver, by tight end, running back. But today, Preston Thorne, I think we have our most creative one yet. It has nothing to do with being on a football field. But today we're going to pick a former Gamecock offensive lineman to be your bodyguard, to protect your life. And I thought you made a really good point where offensive lineman that you have to walk into a dark alley with for your life. You're picking a Gamecock offensive lineman to be your personal security detail. You only get one. Who do you choose?
Now, this is a very interesting question because there's a big difference between who's the best offensive lineman and who is the offensive lineman that you want to walk into a dark alley with, because they could be the same person, but they might also not be the same person. And also, if you've been around a football team, it's universally known that the offensive lineman, best dudes on the team. More than likely, if you had to rank them based on what dogs they were most like, offensive linemen, Labrador Retrievers. Right? They're they are fun. They're happy. They usually don't have many issues. Usually, generally, the best guys until you mess with the quarterback or the person that they're protecting. And matter of fact, a great example of this, I just saw they were talking about Alabama's quarterback situation, how they were saying they had a three-way tie and they didn't know who it was going to be. And Caden Proctor said, regardless of who it is, it's going to be an honor to protect them.
Oh, I love that mindset.
So it's a very chivalrous position.
Absolutely chivalrous position. Yes. They are protectors. They are the holders, the gatekeepers. So while you can have the best offensive lineman, not necessarily the person that you want protecting you in the alley. So it's a little bit of a different story here. So I have a couple of suggestions, but I do have one that's based on the most recentest of history, Elijah.
Ooh, okay.
I'm going to go with Torricelli Simpkins.
Interesting. Okay. He's a biggin, right? He's on the biggin index.
He qualifies as a biggin. And though it may not have been the best thing for the team, and it also set up eventually the 3rd and 16 play that'll live forever. If you saw the way Torricelli took that Clemson defender and basically gave him the blindside block into the sidelines where they threw the unnecessary roughness, that is somebody that you want protecting you at all times. So I'm going to nominate with the most recent, being a prisoner of the moment, I'm going with Torricelli Simpkins.
I like it. Okay, Torricelli Simpkins on the board, the first pick, if you will, and for good reason too. I mean, sometimes you don't want a penalty in that moment right there, but at some points during the season, maybe you don't mind something like that if it meant protecting your quarterback, or at least sending a message that you are protecting your quarterback. The one I think I've settled on right now, because I'm looking at size. I want someone who is just intimidating, even without pads. Somebody who is just a mountain of a man. That way, no one even thinks about having to mess with me. That way, we don't have to find out how athletic my personal security detail is. But I think I'm going Ernest Dye. 6'6", 330. Biggin.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Here's what the offensive lineman, here's what you ideally, you want your bodyguards to negate any dumb things happening just by somebody looking at them and saying, probably not. That's the best thing that a bodyguard can offer, is somebody would look at the bodyguard and say,
very preventive.
That's the word. Preventive. Yes. I'm going to look at the bodyguard. I'm going to see they're 6'6", 330, and I'll say, I thought about doing something stupid to Elijah, but maybe not.
Exactly. See, I want the opposite effect of what I was whenever I was a security guard, working like at concert venues and doing like backstage work. I'm not a tall man, not big man, right? Again, big difference here. I definitely worked with people that were much bigger than me. So I could kind of defer some of the intimidation responsibilities onto somebody else. But
I will say my son worked as a bouncer in a club in town, and he actually handled a few football players who had come to this particular, but he's tall and he's barrel chested, bigger guy. So he would probably, of the two, maybe would look a little more menacing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's also, listen, I could go deep into that, but probably the football players that were doing it, probably more the wide receiver variety. And those guys,
I think so.
Those guys, one, they tend to be the ones causing more of the issues, and two, they're kind of slight sometimes. So I can definitely see that. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Torricelli, and I'd be remiss in having this conversation if I didn't mention one of my teammates, Chester's own Chris White. If you need any film on Chris White, just go back to the 2004 brawl between Clemson and South Carolina. And look at how, who, and why that thing was initiated. All roads point to Chris White. Chris White, known as somebody who plays to the echo of the whistle. So you want somebody like that protecting you.
Starting the scrap too. I like it. Can start it and finish the scrap.
Yes.
I want to pull that up on a YouTube tab during the commercial break and check that out. We got to take a trip down memory lane there, but there's a ton of really good options too. I mean, you're looking through. Del Wilkes obviously became a wrestler.
Solid.
So somebody that can help you out there a little bit too. But feel free to chime in yourself, 803-404-6100 on our AAA Heating and Air phone line. That's it for hour number one. Look for hour two by unloading on a Big Ten team that is Matrix-style dodging of a not-so-scary opponent. That's next on the early game.
DeQuincy Newman Freeway at I-20. There's a report of an accident there. Also, I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard. That's exit 71. That's currently closed due to an earlier accident. So want to maybe map out another plan for that until they get that reopened. I-20 westbound at exit 71. When there is some resurfacing going on, Kilbourne between Beltline and Divine. So don't let that catch you off guard. Maybe you can kind of skate around that and not have to worry about that so much. And yeah, that forecast for today, it's going to be warm. Looking for a high of 94, heat index of 102. And then tomorrow and Saturday, 97, heat indexes of 105.
Hour number 2 of the early game starts right now. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. It is my last day here at SEC Media Days. Looking forward to being back home and actually getting to see you guys in studio again. I've missed you guys. It's lonely here on the table by myself.
Well, and also, I think about the fact that, we started this variation of the early game just a week and a half ago, and we've only really, all of us have been in the same studio together, like what, 1 day, 2 days?
1 day.
1 day, yeah.
1 day so far.
Imagine how amazing we are now. Think how much more amazing we'll be when we're all together on a regular basis.
It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. With the Dr. Pepper that you bring in.
That's right. Jen has put me on a mission to bring her back some Dr. Pepper, because that is definitely an SEC Media Day staple.
Mm-hmm.
Is the variety of Dr. Pepper that is just stashed away. And I've come here every year thinking that, if I don't get a cavity, maybe I did it wrong. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Or gain 10 pounds in 4 days.
Now that is going to be like the case. I will be, pushing 220 by the time I get back. And, playing weight right now is like 210. So we're going to be pushing some LBs by the time I come back. The free meals have definitely done a number on me, but in like the best way possible.
Absolutely. You deserve that with all the hard work.
I think that is doing it right. But Indiana is not doing it right. I think they committed to me what is one of the cardinal sins in competition, and that's dodging somebody. And it's not like Indiana in the future is dodging, I don't know, Georgia. They're not dodging Texas, Ohio State, Notre Dame, not even South Carolina, Clemson. Nobody that caliber. Indiana took Virginia off of their future schedule. Virginia.
Those Cavaliers, man, they might get you.
Is Matt Schaub still playing there, I guess? Are they scared of Matt Schaub?
Hey, that's a good pull. That's a good pull.
Hey, I'm in Atlanta, so I had to pull out make a pull of the Atlanta Falcons. Great.
Matt Schaub, bigger than you think. Big dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably 6'5", 6'6",
yeah, he was a solid fella.
Yeah, great quarterback in Virginia, but he ain't walking through that door. But Indiana cut them off the schedule, and they've replaced them. Their 3 future opponents that have been added to the schedule: Eastern Illinois, Kennesaw State, Austin Peay. Not necessarily a murderer's row of teams. And it's one of those things, too, where they're clearly doing it because they think it gets them into the college football playoff. And yesterday, our own Jay Phillips did a little Big J journalism, and he asked somebody who was in a discussion with the Indiana athletic director yesterday when the news broke, or 2 days ago when the news broke. And the sense that person got was that Indiana is doubling down on this. And they're not backing away from the fact that they are taking hard non-conference games, or not even hard, Power 4 non-conference games off of their schedule. It's not only cowardly, it's foolish, and it does your football team a real disservice. Because when I looked at the Indiana team this year, I thought that was a really good football team. They didn't make the college football playoff just because the schedule was weak. And it was, admittedly. I think we all have eyes here. It was. but they were a good football team. But were they remotely prepared to play Notre Dame? Absolutely not. So they think they can fool people, maybe even fool themselves. But I'm not fooled by the cowardice of the Indiana Hoosiers.
I like where you're going with this. Let's walk down this trail a little bit. Now, last year, do they think that it was just a coincidence that they had a good team and a weak schedule at the same time, and it was like like Haley's Comet just passed through Indiana, or do they see this as maybe a sustainable strategy for them to keep sneaking into the CFP?
I think they're banking on it being a strategy to sneak into the CFP every year. That's the sense I got.
Okay. Now, with that being said, at this point, we haven't gotten an answer about how much strength of schedule actually plays into the consideration. So I agree with you. I don't think you should duck any smoke, honestly, especially teams who are probably not as good as you. I don't know. I'm not sure what Virginia's working with this year. Shout out to Tony Elliott, but I don't think that's somebody they should be nervous about. But are we sure that this is not something that will help them in the ultimate goal of getting to the CFP?
I think this is going to bite them in the rear, and not because, they might lose 2 games in conference play and be let's say they're a 10-2 team. But because the non-conference schedule is so weak and they don't have any big-time Big Ten wins, say their losses are to like Ohio State and Illinois, and they maybe beat an 8-4, conference opponent, they're not going to get in. I know people complained about the strength of schedule, quote unquote, not mattering in the college football playoff last year, but I would push back by saying the 3 teams that were the first 3 teams out were 9-3 SEC teams, ranked well ahead of a 10-2 Miami team in the ACC, who did win on the road at Florida, and a 10-2 BYU team, and a couple of teams that were 9-10 wins, but they didn't play the same schedule that South Carolina, Ole Miss, Alabama did, and they just missed out. And honestly, Alabama's probably in if Clemson doesn't hit that field goal at the end of the ACC championship game. They're probably in anyway, despite losing 2 games to 6-6 conference opponents. But if you're Indiana, this is not a sustainable way of doing this, because you think you're going to win these games. Heaven forbid you lose one because you're just not ready and your players aren't up for it. That happens in this sport sometimes, especially if you play like a Kennesaw State, who it's an FBS opponent. But if you slip up and they beat you, you can kiss all of that goodbye. Or if you do beat them, by the time you do start playing the tougher games in your league, you're going to get smacked because you just haven't tested yourself, right? We don't go into our final exam in college without taking any test before that, or studying or testing our abilities before it. They'd be going into that game without any preparation, essentially, because you haven't tested yourself outside of your conference. So I think it does them a disservice in 2 different ways. It takes away all of your margin for error, all of it. And it doesn't prepare you for the games you have to play in the season. They didn't look prepared when they had to go to Ohio State and play. Ohio State took care of business. And Ohio State was playing some real tough out-of-conference games before that. And, of course, they had a tougher draw in the Big Ten than Indiana did. Then Indiana gets in the playoffs. They have to play at Notre Dame. Were they prepared to play that game? No, it wasn't very competitive. So, to me, Indiana's done itself a disservice on multiple different fronts by doing this.
Now, you said Jay did some Big J journalism and talked to somebody of importance. Can we hear from them?
Yes, we can. We can hear from them.
It's going to be clip 30, Jen. He talked to the big guy, the biggest of guys, the chief of this whole operation. And I hadn't heard this clip, so I'm really interested to hear what Greg Sankey had to say about this whole situation.
My concerns are that it ties into the CFP selection process. And if teams are judging the access point is to accumulate simply as many wins without regard to the rigor of a schedule, that diminishes the regular season. And it's not the first of these circumstances we've seen. It's the latest. We have schools thinking about that reality. Generally, those who've scheduled 2 additional non-conference games. We have a mandate that you have at least one. It also limits the comparatives between leagues, which is, in basketball, one of the easier elements is there's so many non-conference games. You have this really robust base of data to make judgments in addition to conference performance. So those are a couple elements that come to mind.
I think, when Greg said that yesterday, reading between the lines there, he definitely thinks there are teams that think they can game the system.
And he's smart enough and coy enough not to call a specific team, but he's basically saying, like, hey, man, don't do that. That's why y'all are over there, and that's why we're over here. And that's why he keeps banging the drum of, like, the SEC is more important than other conferences, even the other one that feels like they're on the same level.
That's what makes the SEC like a more valuable league in general, right? Because let's sit back and think about the biggest games for week 1 this year. Like Tennessee, Syracuse, pretty big game. South Carolina, Virginia Tech, pretty big game. Texas at Ohio State, really big game.
Huge.
LSU at Clemson, really big game. All of those games that I just alluded to, none of them are at the home stadium of an SEC team. And that's all the marquee matchups. It's the value to the sport that the SEC brings. But if everybody else in some of these other power conferences are thinking they can game the system by just not scheduling anybody in non-conference, then it does do the one thing that Greg led off with, and that is diminish the product of your regular season.
Yeah, and you don't want to diminish the product of the regular season because that's what we're selling. We're selling the regular season. We want this thing to be as valuable as possible because we want more eyes, more ears, more people glued to the tube so we can make more money. You don't want to spite yourself in order to have a possible chance in the end.
Yeah, like
and also Elijah, this just seems against the whole ethos of what Curt Cignetti seems to be about. And so now I'm gonna have to question kind of his whole tough guy, will play anybody, no nonsense demeanor. This doesn't feel like that goes with what he purports to be about.
Yeah, I'll go and declare it right now. It's fake.
Ooh,
it's a fake demeanor.
Ooh,
because if you
Curt
are
Cignetti,
that
fake tough guy, you saying he's a fake
Yes.
tough guy? Okay, I like it.
Fake tough guy with great hair dye. That is exactly what Curt Cignetti is. And I hate saying this because I fell in love with the story last year. I love that he wiped out the roster, or actually the roster really left him, and he brought in a bunch of group of 5, group of 6 players, some of his players at James Madison, brought them to the Big Ten, and they had a level of success that school just doesn't ever have in football. They don't really have men's basketball in a while either. That's a whole other separate story. But they gave that school something to be really excited about. They never pack out that stadium. It's hilarious watching old footage of old games where the stadium's 20% full, and then when College Game Day was there against UCLA, they packed it out. It's a great story. And the whole I win, Google me. I love it. But also I dodge opponents. Google me. We got to add that to the list of quotables.
It's got to be I win against G5 or lower opponents in quotation marks.
Listen up, buddy. I'm scared of Virginia. That should also be another one. Like straight up, this is blatant. They're scared of Virginia. Virginia. Like this isn't Alabama. This isn't Texas or Ohio State. It's Virginia. And they took Virginia off the schedule in fear of losing that game. If you're scared of Virginia, why would I ever be scared of you as a coach or a program?
Solid points. Points are made.
Like, I just can't. That's what's so insulting to this. And I think that's really the only word that I can describe is insulting. Like, you're shortchanging yourself and the game of college football. And here's the thing. They're not going to be as good as they were last year every year. They probably won't be as good as they were last year this year. So, really, and you know this, Preston, like when you're at South Carolina, you played in big non-conference games and you played in the SEC. Do you get any better when you're just rolling over Austin Peay and Kennesaw State to start your season?
No, that's not how that works.
Like, at all. There's no testing. And for somebody who's like, I win, Google me. If you win all the time to the point where we have to Google your record just so it can speak for itself, then you shouldn't be scared of a Virginia team that, just to get this specific in terms of the amount of games they've won, because it's not been a lot recently. Like, this is the team that Curt Cignetti is scared of. Last year, they went 5-7. And you know what? That was one of the better years in the Tony Elliott era. 5-7, 3-9, 3-7, 6-6, 5-5. Those are the records since the turn of the decade. And Indiana's too scared to play them. I don't know. Insulting. I think insulting is the best way to put that. But there's some rule changes in college football this year that Preston Thorne finds insulting. So now it's Preston's time to beef with college football officiating. That's next on the early game. One of my favorite summer memories used to be swimming in a pool at my friend's house. Shout out Jenny Dixon and Dwight Dixon, who used to have me over their pool all the time when I was a kid. But I was a messy kid. And there was, a grass walkway between pool and house. And I tracked so much dirt, so much grass inside that house, it wasn't even funny. They could have really benefited from Zero Rez's services. And you can benefit from Zero Rez's services this summer because this is the time to take advantage of the summer sale right now. 15% off air ducts, carpet, area rugs, upholstery, tile and grout, and more. Again, for 15% off. Just mention my name, Elijah Campbell, 1075 The Game, and they can hook you up with that discount. They have patented cleaning services from Zero Rez that uses zero harsh chemicals, none whatsoever, for a clean that's safe for your family and pets. And we all want that. Schedule online, ZeroRezColumbia.com. Zero Rez, spelled forwards or backwards, right way to clean.
Things are moving on I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard. The 2 left lanes are blocked, so still anticipate slowdowns, but at least traffic is moving somewhat. Again, 2 left lanes blocked. I-20 westbound at exit 71 Wilson Boulevard. To Quincy Newman Freeway southbound at I-20, there's an accident there. And I-77 northbound just after Killian Road. Also, you may encounter a slowdown due to an earlier tie-up. A little bit of resurfacing happening in Kilburn between Beltline and Divine, so be mindful of that too. And as far as your forecast goes, yep, we are looking for a high today of 94, heat index about 102. Tomorrow and Saturday, 97 for the high both days. Heat indexes could top 105. Slight chances for afternoon pop-up showers. Right now, 77.
All right. So I got to tee off this morning on Kurt Signetti in the Indiana football program for being scared. Preston is ready to tee off on some rule changes here, some of which may have been Gamecock inspired. Maybe, even though when they were showing during the presentation of this, they left out that play as an example of the new T-bar rule. But there's also one rule change, Preston Thorne, that has gotten it is near and dear to your heart.
Elijah, I'm sick of it. We all know that this whole thing is based around big offense. We all understand that the powers that be, they want offense to succeed at any cost. And any time that we, as a defense, gain any type of advantage, they strip it away because they do not want us to be great. They want the offenses to win. They want to see people running up and down the field. They want to see the scoreboards lighting up. They love to see all these fancy statistics like A-Dot and Yak Monsters. They want all that.
Yes.
They don't want the defense to be successful. But this might be too far. Elijah, there's a new rule, and I think I'm gonna let the John McCade, SEC official, talking about this. I'm going to let him explain it before I tee off. Jen, this is clip number 37. This is talking about this new rule. I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to listen, and then I have words.
The first play that we're going to see has to do with we've seen a lot of additional action on the defensive side of the ball prior to the ball being snapped. And there's a lot of what I'll call abrupt, coordinated movement by the defense. And what we've seen is over the last 4 or 5 years, the number of false starts per game has gone up. And I attribute it to what the defense is doing on that side of the ball. And it's just not what I see in the Southeastern Conference. It's what my peers and I have all been seeing across the nation. This year, a change in the football rules is we're adding a standard to the defensive side of the ball that the offense has had for a century or more. The definition of a false start has forever been action that simulates the snap. That standard, action that simulates the snap, is now put on the defense as well, and the officials are being asked to judge defensive movement in that light. We're going to watch this defensive tackle that's lined up between the right tackle and the right guard, and you can see he has 2 down teammates to our left of him that are going to, what football coaches do called stemming, right? That action by the 2 that are stemming.
Stemming. It is a vital part of playing defense, and they are trying to take it away. Let's go to football 101 here, kids. Are we ready?
Oh, let's do it.
Football 101, stemming. When the defense gets their hands into the dirt, the defensive line, you could be in a, let's say you're in a 5 technique, a 3 technique, a 1 technique, a 7. You got your 4 defensive linemen. Usually what stemming will happen is somebody will say something like, move, and everybody will move gaps. You might exchange gaps. You might go from a 3 technique to a 1 technique, from a 1 to a 3, etc., etc. The reason why you do that is to mess up the offensive play calling, because oftentimes offenses call their plays based on where the defenses are set. The bubble, you'll hear it all called. This is very dorky stuff. You might want to play the nerd
let's
music
go.
behind me. But listen, you want to call it to the bubble. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to affect the bubble. You want to get their read messed up here. But now they're saying that you're not being able to do that because you're making a coordinated football movement at the same time. Clayton White does this a lot. We did this a lot on defense. You'll see the guys move in a coordinated manner from one spot to another. And all it is to do is to set up, to mess up the read. Now, what the official was saying is that, well, offenses haven't been able to do this for years. But offenses do it all the time, Mr. Official. Don't we hear them go on 2 all the time? Don't you hear the offenses come to the line and say, hut, 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 hut.
Hard counting.
Hard counts. You see the quarterbacks move their necks. You'll see offensive linemen not get into their stances, being able to do things like that. You'll see teams do the little huddles and sprint up to the line and then do hard counts. So they let offenses do all of this. They have all this latitude for offense. And then when the defense just gets a slight little advantage, they take it away. Elijah, this is what we have to face as defenders every time we step onto the field. It's rigged. You're not playing against 11. You're playing against the whole football complex.
And what was so confusing about that too, because when I was sitting there and watching this, and I'm trying to take notes to remember this as much as possible when the season starts and we see maybe one of these new rules implemented, I can better help explain it. And when the way he explains it also makes it sound like, what's the difference between shifting and simulating the snap, right? I mean,
well, that's a good point. They already have in place where the defensive line, you can't simulate the snaps. So if I'm playing defense, I can't make a sound that sounds similar to what the offense says. So if the offense goes on, hut, I can't say hoot or something like that.
Right. You can't trick them that way.
Yeah, you can't try and trick them that way. But we can say move, or we can say red, or whatever our call might be. Now, if the offense is just dumb enough to not be able to recognize my call from their call, well, that's on them, right?
That's on them.
But also the offenses have these things called silent counts. They do that all the time, where you see the quarterback pick up his leg, give the clap, or you see him clap 2 times. Again, these are all techniques. This is all part of football. Football is the eternal cat and mouse game. You do something, I do something to counter it. You counter that, I counter that, and we go back and forth. And that's how it's supposed to work until the officials interrupt here. Anybody on offense, I would love for your blowback or your counter to this, but I think this is a weak move by SEC officiating.
So now what happens if in SEC officiating, if we're playing somebody out of conference, does this apply?
Well, all we know is that the SEC is making an emphasis on this. I don't know if the rest of college football is. I would imagine that they will
are
be
as well. Okay.
because we run this thing.
From my understanding was that yes, like these are kind of like broad college football
Okay.
rule changes.
Okay.
And in the SEC with John McDade, he's kind of just like the spokesperson for the SEC in terms of talking about how it's going to be implemented. And that's my big problem with this. I don't know how well it's going to or consistently be implemented, right? One game, a referee might think someone's trying to simulate the snap, even though like their count is just, or like, their signal to shift the defensive line sounds similar to what the snap count might be, right? Like there's a lot of gray area there, and it's left to a lot of interpretation, which to me just opens up the floodgates for this to be called so inconsistently that it will be infuriating for teams and coaches.
And like I said, Clayton White has used this previously a lot. This was a feature of the defense, even just going back to last year. This is something that they do. One other note is that when you're stemming, the most important thing is to go side to side. If you make any forward movement, they've determined that you can't do that anymore also. So they're essentially restricting the moves. They're making you sit there as a target where the offense could just run all their fancy dancy plays, and they can set up all these counter blocks, these zone plays, and they do all that stuff just so they can score more points. But don't worry, defensive coaches are in the lab. Defenses, let's go.
Hey, defensive coaches are some of the smartest in the game for this exact very reason. I tried to find a defensive angle for finding it Preston's favorite NFL team. I didn't find that yet, but I found a metric that I'm using that will help try to quantify how exciting a team's games are. And we'll see what Preston likes in terms of valuing close games, and so we can help find his favorite NFL team. That search continues next on the early game.
Pressing here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. If your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, it's no problem. They'll come out to your location and they'll replace it for you, usually for free, and they work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll give you a free quote and take away the headache once they perform the job. Now, if you're at home looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass can take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. I say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at absoluteglassinc.com. That's online at absoluteglassinc.com.
Traffic moving on I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard, albeit a little bit slower as 2 left lanes are still blocked. So that's I-20 westbound there at exit 71. I-77 northbound after Killian Road, an accident there. I-77 southbound before Farrow Road, also a report of an accident. Pisgah Church Road at Bar Road, you'll also encounter a slowdown. And don't forget Operation Southern Slowdown. In the southern states, they're trying to focus on reducing speeding and aggressive driving the rest of this week through Sunday. So just mind your P's and Q's as you should anyway, right? Your forecast, it's going to be warm. 94 for the high today. 102 could be the heat index. 97 tomorrow and Saturday. 105 for the heat index is 97 now, or 77 now.
Our coverage of SEC Media Days here in Atlanta brought to you by Lexington Discount Homes. Lexington Discount Homes, one of South Carolina's leading retailers of manufactured homes. Go to LexingtonDiscountHomes.com to find out more. And we're also trying to find out more about Preston Thorne's football preferences so we can give him the team of his dreams, his perfect soulmate match in the NFL. And it may be the Falcons. It may not be the Falcons. Maybe he fights fate. But today, the criteria being used, competitive games. Do you like close football games, Preston Thorne? When you're watching your favorite team, are you one of those you want to see, the outcomes decided and your anxiety is eased, or you're just mad and you just quit watching the game altogether? Or do you seek out the thrill of a close football game?
Elijah, I like a good close game. I'm not gonna lie. Even when it's my team playing, I'm not gonna lie. I do like a good close game, and to drive the point home even further, I like a good close, low-scoring game.
Ooh, okay. See, I'm the same way, but high scoring. I love a good high scoring. You remember that Monday Night Football game back? It was Chiefs-Rams.
was it 60-50 or something crazy like that?
Oh yeah, and it was just back and forth.
Uh-huh.
Like they couldn't stop each other, and they were finding just different ways to score. It was wild. I will sometimes. I am not a Chiefs fan, not a Rams fan. I have zero emotional connection to either of those teams. I do sometimes go back and watch that game because I had so much fun watching it. It was just such a fun watch. Sometimes I try to relive it, but I love the competitive games that my favorite team's into because it's anxiety inducing. But it's also like an adrenaline rush.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really describe it well, but it's like a feeling in the pit of your stomach when a game's going on. Like the hairs of my arms start standing up. It has like a physical reaction to me whenever my favorite team is playing. It's the fourth quarter, and it's maybe like a one possession game, or in basketball if it's a 3-point game in the last minute and a half. Like that is a feeling that I can't really describe with 100% accuracy, but I seek that out.
To put it in perfect terms, Elijah. Last year, 17-14 against Clemson was that is my perfect game. Couple of field goals, couple of interceptions, maybe a touchdown here or there. Not a lot of them. That was my absolute perfect game. 17-14. So happy.
And that feeling in the stadium, that entire fourth quarter was one of just pure anxiety with a lot of people.
Yes.
Like that's why I got into this business, is to go cover games like that. Like that is what it's all about. So when it comes to picking your NFL team, Preston, I wanted to find a way to quantify this. So again, like we have been, I have broken them into 8 tiers of 4 teams, but they're grouped by point differential.
Ooh.
So the higher the tier, the closer to 0 they are in point differential, one way or another. And the lower the tier, the further away they are from 0 in one way or another. So knowing that, which tier are you choosing? Scale of 1 to 8.
Let's go 6 here.
Okay. He's going 6. And in tier 6.
This is so nerve-wracking.
Drum roll, please. The 49ers, the Colts, the Chiefs, and Jen Jensen's Chicago Bears for the second straight day.
Bears are picking up a little bit of steam. 49ers, Colts, Bears, Chiefs.
Uh-huh.
Bears picking up a little bit of steam here. Okay. Shout out to my guy, my illustrator, Kev Roche, who's a huge Bears fan. So that's where I get all my Bears updates from Kev. Okay. let's walk through this really quickly. 49ers. Do we think Brock Purdy is the guy?
Okay, so here's the I've not told you this theory of mine, Preston Thorne. I'm glad I have the chance to do this. I have a steadfast rule, very hardcore principled, and I call it the Derek Carr rule. So when your quarterback is ending their contract, specifically a rookie deal, if you want to make the decision on whether or not to re-sign them or roll your dice in the NFL draft, ask yourself this question. Is the quarterback in question better or worse than Derek Carr, who what some could say is the okayest quarterback in the league before retirement? If the answer is yes, my quarterback is better than Derek Carr, you have your guy. Play it safe. Don't start back from scratch with the quarterback position. It's okay to pay him that money because you can win with him. Now, if your quarterback is worse than Derek Carr, then you should probably cut your losses and go back into the draft and start anew with a rookie contract quarterback and open up the window to have more flexibility throughout the roster. If your quarterback is Derek Carr, I don't know what to tell you. So that's the Derek Carr rule. And when I apply this to Brock Purdy, I think Brock Purdy is a better quarterback than Derek Carr. Therefore, the Niners made the right decision.
All right. I love walking us through that metric because I was trying to figure out where Brock Purdy would fall on that. So let's keep that.
He's pretty good.
Let's keep that going. Yes. Yeah,
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Very, very good. Okay. The Colts. Let's just stay with the quarterback position. Not necessarily working with Anthony Richardson, or what are we going to do with this?
I'm still on a TBD because I don't know if we haven't really seen him play a full season because he gets hurt so frequently, and he was young when he got drafted, but the product we've seen on the field is not very good outside of his freakish athletic ability.
So to use the Derek Carr metric, Danny Dimes not better than Derek Carr, correct?
No. I would say no. If I were the Giants, I would never sign him to that deal to begin with.
They did re-sign him to that deal. So the Colts situation, not good. Okay. Bears quarterback situation, year 2, Caleb Williams. How do you feel about his year last year?
I thought it was a rookie quarterback season. There were some flashes. There were some things that need to develop. I'll need to see what he's like with Ben Johnson as the head coach and the play caller. But my hypothesis is he will be better than Derek Carr. Therefore, it will behoove them to extend or give him a new deal once that contract runs
I think
out.
the line will be better as well.
Yes, and that's going to help him out a ton. So jury technically still out, but I feel good about Caleb Williams in Chicago.
Do you think that the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback situation is better or worse than Derek Carr?
I got to really think about this one. I don't know. I'd say a smidge better.
A smidge. A tad.
Yeah,
A tad.
Enough to win Super Bowls if that's like the thing you want to do in this league.
All right, I'm looking at these squads. None of them necessarily appeal to me. I think we could safely eliminate every single one of these squads from contention.
Now, are you curious as to who is in Tier 8, the teams that were the closest to 0?
Yeah, what you got?
So the teams that throughout the entire year, Heartbreak City or Adrenaline City, Houston Texans, Seattle Seahawks, Miami Dolphins, Los Angeles Rams. Those 4 teams are the closest to 0. And the Houston Texans specifically, mind you, a team that won their division and played in the playoffs last year, 0 point differential. They scored as many points as they gave up last year.
We're going to come back to this when we get completely into NFL. But last year with the Texans, was that a sophomore slump or was the first year better than we think?
Oh, with Stroud. Yeah. I would say that was a sophomore slump.
Okay.
I'm a believer in CJ Stroud.
Okay. All right.
I'm a big believer.
I think these are some questions that need to be answered. All right. I'm doing it. I think it's all coming clear now. I appreciate this exercise because I think I just eliminated another squad from contention.
Are the Falcons still lingering?
Listen, man, I can't ignore fate. They're still in the mix only because it just keeps coming up. I can't ignore the fact that they're still there.
I can't quit you, Atlanta Falcons.
Correct.
That's that's the theme of this whole exercise so far. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, it's time to go racing. The Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge is next. If taxes are stressing you out, like a lot of things in life that stress us out on a daily basis, but if your stressors mostly come from tax troubles that are weighing you down, you don't have to let that happen to you any longer because the Ecton Law Firm is here for you. You can set up a free consultation today, 803-771-9800. Again, 803-771-9800, and they'll help you out with the local team that is resolving income and business tax issues for good for lots of people. At the Ecton Law Firm, they get it. They understand the challenges that you and your business can face, and that's why John Ecton and his team can give you the peace of mind that you know you deserve. So take the action today to stop the stresses of taxes. 803-771-9800 or visit EctonLawFirm.com. That's ECTONLawFirm.com. All right. Still here live in Atlanta, last day of SEC Media Days. And, of course, our coverage here, SEC Media Days in Atlanta, brought to you by CHW Cabinetry. If it's good enough for Jen Jensen, it's good enough for you. She's great when it comes to giving advice on cabinetry because she refers to CHW. So it comes full circle. She's also really good at making NASCAR picks.
Well, no. I know the sport. I'm
trying to lie for you, Jen Jensen. I'm trying to lie for you.
I tell you what, if I can be, I don't know, I can pick somebody who could lead 98% of the race, and some shenanigans will happen, and they get knocked out, and I'll end up with minimal points, and it's been very depressing for me. But that's okay. That's all right. Right now, our standings: Reggie has 76, Bill has 72, Josh is up to 68, and Josh Harris from Darlington Raceway is on vacation this week, but he did get his picks in this morning, which I was very impressed by because Bill has not.
Commitment.
So we see who's committed.
True commitment.
Yes, and Reggie's are coming in momentarily. So anyway, so Josh is in third. We had Preston 2 weeks back to back picking winners. He played the race course or the road course game. And
Jen, I think you fell victim to too much knowledge.
That
because SVG was right there for you. You didn't pick him because you know too much. I don't know enough, so I just picked the obvious. I got it.
He had won 2 races in Chicago. Like, could he really win a third in a row, kind of a thing? And so, yes, that's probably was my problem. So I'm sitting in last with 58 points. So I need some help here. But SVG comes away, dominates once again. He's so good on road courses. Until coming to NASCAR, he had not been on any ovals. He is improving on ovals. And like we mentioned last week, I think it's going to be a case where when he masters the ovals, dude is just going to be a force for sure. But I mean, he's won the road course in Mexico a few weeks ago. He won the Xfinity and the Cup races at Chicago on the street course. And then he won this past week out in Sonoma road course. So Reggie and I were actually messaging back and forth, and we thought that, to be fair, since Preston has picked SVG the past couple of weeks and been a winner, he should have to take SVG this week on the 1 mile track. We just feel like that would just be completely fair.
It might be fair, but we're not going that direction this week.
Not going there.
And you could tell him, you could say, hey, he's on a hot streak right now, and completely without the context.
Yes, exactly. But I am actually working. I know the PR gal. She's a friend of mine for SVG. So I'm actually efforting to get him on the get an interview with him at some point very soon, because I think that could be kind of fun to talk to him a little bit about his phenomenal season, because he's really doing well. But we move to Dover. It's a 1 mile track this weekend. And so totally different style of racing than what it's been. We're still in the in-season challenge where everybody's brackets have been just blown up to bits. And Ty Dillon is leading, which that's just an insane thing and an anomaly, all of that. So going to Dover, going to the Monster Mile, a place where Chase Elliott has won a couple times. Hamlin's won a couple times. Larson has also won a couple times there. Hamlin is he is the favorite. I'm not going to take Hamlin, and which is probably going to bite me again. I'm actually going to go Chase Elliott for winning at Dover. So that's where I start. And that takes us to Preston, who is sitting in second at 65 points. Who do you think, Preston?
Well, you took my pick, and that's a good job. But now I'm going to go back to picking the obvious pick. Give me Denny Hamlin.
All right. Taking up Hamlin. And that takes us to Josh. He was efficient, sent in his picks. He wanted Hamlin and Elliott. Those are not available now. So he is getting Ross Chastain. And then we go to Bill, who hasn't sent in his pick. So who is the celebrity picker picking?
Ooh, okay. This is good. I had to
look up
and make
the names
sure
of the drivers.
Yes. And make sure if Michael Waltrip is still racing. I don't think it is. I'm going to play the long game here in terms of, because I've got the odds pulled up for the championship for the entire season. Give me Tyler Reddick.
Okay.
Good call. And
What do I know about Tyler Reddick? Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
he's good on short track, so it could be a good race for him. Reggie picks Blaney. I'm a little concerned about Blaney. He just lost his grandmother, so I hope he does well this weekend, but I'm sure it'll be challenging. So with that 10 seconds, what do we got coming up next?
Yes, we'll reset our discussion about the big Aflac kickoff game, which is here in Atlanta next month. That's next for hour 3 of the early game. Anyone that does anything for 30 years with great efficiency and great success knows what they're doing. It's not their first rodeo, second, third, 100th, whatever. That's Midstate Roofing because they've been a proven leader in the roofing or waterproofing industry. That proven history is your assurance that the professionals at Midstate Roofing provide the proper advice, service, and most importantly, the results to the needs of your facility. It doesn't matter if it's a high-rise or a hospital, manufacturing to industrial. Midstate Roofing designs and installs those bonded systems with a protective guarantee, capital G, to keep your operation dry and running, protected from the elements 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Give them a call, 803-356-1919, or hit them up online at midstateroofing.com. That's midstateroofing.com. And remember, if you have a leak, let Midstate Roofing take a peek.
I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard, the 2 left lanes were blocked or are currently blocked. Everything had been closed before, so at least now we do have some traffic moving as they work to get that cleared. So that's I-20 westbound at exit 71. Stay right. I-20 westbound at 277, also you'll find an accident. I-77 northbound at Killian Road. I-77 southbound before Faro Road. And Pisgah Church at Bar Road, also an accident there. And yep, it's going to be warm for the next several days. 94 for the high today. That heat index could be 102. 97 for Friday and Saturday. Heat index is close to 105. So just a lot of hydration. Be very careful. 78 currently on 107.5 The Game.
Final hour of Thursday's early game. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm here live in Atlanta for the final day of SEC Media Days. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen back at the Herndon Chevy Studios. And here in, what was it? Let me pull back at 45 days. Jen did the math, so I don't have to. 45 days. Yes. Here in 45 days in this very city, a stone's throw from where I sit, toe will meet leather, and the South Carolina Gamecocks will be playing the Hokies of Virginia Tech. It's the Beamer Bowl. It's also the Aflac kickoff game. And for the first time in the history of this great game, the South Carolina Gamecocks will be participating in it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how does that change your excitement level, Preston Thorne, of this football game to start the year?
Yeah, I guess I hadn't really put a lot of thought into all of the prestige behind the teams that are actually selected to play in these games. But now that you put it in that, when you frame it that way, yeah, this is a huge game. And as I've done some deep diving research, I've been taking some cues from my partner Elijah here. I'm ready to make some bold proclamations about this game. Not going to do it yet because we're 45 days away. We don't want to do that yet. But I'm ready to make some bold proclamations about this game. And let's just say the favorite should win this game. And I don't know who's the favorite. I think it's us. This game, I'm more excited about this game. Also may have a little trepidation now about this game.
See, I mean, my trepidation is that Virginia Tech is better than I think a lot of people give them credit for. I think, because here's the thing. I do believe in one-score game, positive and negative regression. You know, I think if a team one year wins a lot of one-score games and we expect them to be really good the next year, I am one of those that I kind of bank on falling back down to earth. And same way the other way around. If a team is particularly unlucky in those same games, they eventually have to get back to being on the right side of those just by luck, whether it's officiating luck, you know, special teams luck, fumble luck. I mean, fumble luck is one thing we don't really talk about enough because of the oblong-shaped ball. Sometimes can bounce really funny, and weird stuff can happen whenever the ball's put on the turf for one team or another. And last year, Virginia Tech was 0-5 in one-score games. And you want to talk about luck. The Miami loss last year at Miami, where they're 19.5-point underdogs, they basically complete a Hail Mary in the end zone, but a controversial ruling wiped it off the board at the end. I remember that was a Friday night. That was a very big point of controversy. That didn't go Virginia Tech's way, something that's out of their control. But Preston Thorne, a really wild stat about Virginia Tech in one-score games. When I had Andy Bitter on, who's been covering Virginia Tech for a while now, had him on the postgame show a couple of weeks ago. And I brought that stat up, and he goes, yeah, I see where your logic makes sense. But here in Blacksburg, that sentiment isn't felt because Brent Pry, in his time at Virginia Tech as the head coach, they're 1-12 in one-score games.
Oh, no.
He says, you know, if you flip a coin 13 times and it's heads 12 to 13 times, eventually you start questioning the law of averages. Stop questioning the law of averages and start questioning whether or not the coin you're flipping is a good coin, right? Because it shouldn't be that way. So going into this game, if it's a close game, you can almost maybe bank on South Carolina winning it despite everything that I kind of just laid out.
You have added more fuel to my fire of building the case of why this is not only a huge game, but maybe the biggest game of Shane Beamer's career. But you know, that's something that I do every week, and I will definitely have. But I'm getting ammo here because you do not want to lose a one-score game to a team that is 1-12 in those games. No bueno.
Yeah, over the course of a few years, and last year was the one that was supposed to be their big jump, right? Like that was the best roster of the Brent Pry era. Kyron Drones was going into year 2 as a starter. And, of course, injury luck bit them in the rear early on in the season, too. Kyron Drones, their quarterback, 3 separate leg injuries last year, too. If he's fully healthy, I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the ACC. And he is a dynamic runner of the football and a playmaker. And that can give teams some trouble. That could be one that can give you trouble, especially in the first game of the year. If some of the things that you see on film are different than what you see on the field because he's just healthier, right? I'm sure that in preparation for this game, they're watching a lot of 2023 Virginia Tech. But that was a team last year that they had expectations of competing in the ACC for, to win the conference. And they fell way short of that. And a lot of it was by virtue of losing those really close games. That's a Virginia Tech team that's coming into 2025 desperate, Preston Thorne, to get that momentum that they had going into 24 back again. You're going to play, not many times you're playing a desperate team in week one, but you're playing a team that is trying to fight to turn their program around as opposed to South Carolina trying to take it to that next level.
I love the narrative that we're creating around this game. Elijah, as you were talking, I was doing some back of the napkin math here, and we're going to have to come back to this to figure out what all these actually mean, because I would imagine Virginia Tech would look at those games being 0-5 in one-score games last year. Well, we were 3-3, right down the middle. Three wins, 3 losses, and they all have various degrees of how we got to those wins and losses. So in one-score games last year, South Carolina was 3-3, which also kind of leads to that. I don't know what the point differential was, but as I was going through the schedule, South Carolina was definitely one of these cardiac arrest type teams last year, right? They were a team that was really exciting to watch, whether you are a fan or not, and that 3-3 record kind of shows that. I want to put a pin in that because I think we need to do some deeper dive analysis into those one-score games. So we're going to come back.
Yes, I'm writing it down right now for something to dive into later, of looking into Carolina's one-score games last year, but. It's one of those things too, like South Carolina was like the perfect embodiment of what a team is supposed to be in those one-score games, right? You're supposed to win as many of them as you lose, just in terms of the raw theory of, math and luck, right? If you're in a 50-50 game, you're supposed to win those, 50% of the time. And the luck kind of swings back and forth both ways, right? It goes into you benefit from, I don't want to say, total luck in some of those games. I think South Carolina did a good job of creating their own luck in certain games last year, especially like in that Missouri game and in the Clemson game. But you look at officiating luck. Everybody knows what game I'm alluding to. I don't have to say it, but I'm going to. The LSU game, right? Maybe bad special teams luck. You miss a field goal in the Alabama game, or you're just like an inch short on certain big plays in that Alabama game, where the one where Gage Larvadan had a pass down the sideline, but might be just like an inch too far, right? Lenore makes a great play to escape the pocket, but the pass was just maybe a little bit too far to hit Gage in the hands, and he just wasn't able to corral it. Or that 2-point conversion that I know Lenore would love to have back. In those games, it's those very little things that make up the difference in them, and that goes for you. That goes back and forth, like that pendulum swings. In theory, both ways for the most part, but for Virginia Tech last year, it felt like that pendulum hit the losing side and got caught on something and never swung back.
It was like a magnet. It just got stuck up to the top of the magnet and never came back the other way. Yeah, 0-5 that's devastating as a fan base. That's not something you want to go through. It was absolutely be something. If you gave me the 0-5 on top of the 1-12, that would be conversations I would love to start having about. Is this the guy? I don't know if that's what's happening up at Virginia Tech, but that's a statistic that something would definitely get my attention.
It's starting to, and that's what Andy said when he was on. He's like, it's starting to become a real point of contention of how bad they are in those one-score games. It kind of reminds you of the Scott Frost era at Nebraska a little bit, where eventually, is it bad luck or is it just you, right? Like then eventually you start becoming the common denominator. But it's not just a big game for the fact that you're playing a power conference opponent on a neutral site on a day in which you are the only college football game on the slate. You are center stage in the world of your sport. But there's a lot of benefits to doing this too. Like, I applaud South Carolina for playing this game. I'm excited that, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl and my boy Gary yesterday, Gary Stoken, who was on with myself and Tyler, picked South Carolina to join it. And it's one of those things too, like the game doesn't just benefit you from all the football stuff that we talk about, like playing a good team early, testing yourself and giving yourself a baseline of expectation moving forward for the rest of the year. We financially benefit from it. So if you missed this in the first segment of the show, we were handed these little pieces of paper right here from the Aflac kickoff game that mentioned the payout. There's a financial benefit just for playing in this game, and I'll read it from the paper here. The Aflac Kickoff Game has distributed a cumulative $127.7 million in team payouts, equating to an average of $6 million in total team payouts per game. They sell a ton of tickets. It's watched widely throughout America, and you get paid handsomely to come here and do that game.
Yeah, and what's the name of the game right now? What's the whole conversation we've been having all year, all summer, since June 1st? It's all about money, right? We've been talking about this over and over and over and over again. So any opportunity you have to generate extra revenue on top of what you already have is always welcome. You put the extra revenue on top of the extra attention. That is a winning recipe for something that could take the program to another level.
It certainly can, or I'll take our show to another level. Man, Michael Bratton from that SEC podcast sits right down next to me, and we'll talk to him next on the early game.
I-20 westbound, still a slowdown there. Stay right because the two left lanes are currently blocked there at Wilson Boulevard, exit 71. So I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard. Need to stay right, still a slowdown there. I-20 westbound at 277. I-77 southbound before Farrow Road. And Pisgah Church Road at Barr, still working an earlier tie-up there. 94 today, heat index of 102. Tomorrow and Saturday. 97 heat index, potentially 105. Just a chance for a pop-up shower or storm in the afternoon, but not really even big chances for that. But those are always a possibility. We're currently at 79 on 107.5 The Game.
Here at SEC Media Days, brought to you by Lawyer Lisa. Need to talk estate planning, elder law, elder care, or probate? Call Lawyer Lisa, 803-563-5163. Or you can go to lawyerlisa.com and take care of it that way too. Sitting to my right now, Michael Bratton. You may know him as SEC Mike on Twitter, host of That SEC Podcast. Michael, appreciate you taking the time. I know when it's this early, it can be a little bit of a ghost town through here. So I appreciate you coming in, clocking in a little early, and hanging out with us this morning.
Yeah, I may have to call Lawyer Lisa after last night's activity. So I appreciate you giving me that shout out. But, yeah, no, it's great to be here. Final day. And, you know, I kind of kid, but you kind of weed out who are the serious people.
You do.
Because we get about 60% of people fly out of here before Thursday. So good to see you're still here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, excited. It's a long week. It usually is, and when you're doing mornings, it feels like it's an even longer week. But not gonna lie, ready to get back into my own bed.
Yep.
And be able to crash a little earlier than normal when there's no more festivities going around. But Michael, in your time here, obviously we're at the tail end of this bad boy. Is there anything that you've picked up talking to players, talking to coaches that might have changed some of your priors coming into SEC Media Days?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting you asked that, because I was going to say, and I'm not just saying this for your audience, I think South Carolina is the team I've learned the most, or at least changed my opinion of the most, in a positive way. 90% of the people here are kind of in agreement with me that Lenoir Sellers, best quarterback in the conference. And, man, I picked up an interesting nugget that apparently Clayton White was bragging after spring that the offense could not score a touchdown on his defense all spring.
Oh, wow.
And we all look at South Carolina like, well, they lost 4 top 40 draft picks on defense. How could they? I'm not saying they're going to be better, because that would be a tall task. But the fact that the defense is already to that level with going up against Lenoir Sellers, I think that says a lot about Clayton White and a lot about the Gamecocks potentially not having near as big of a drop-off on the defensive side of the football as many assume.
Well, Mike, appreciate you joining us. And what I'm interested in is we have our Garnet goggles on around here all the time. So you saying that Lenoir Sellers is the best quarterback in the SEC, we're like, duh, we already knew that. What I'm considering is, what was your take prior to this conversation? What was some of the scuttlebutt, or what was your opinion of South Carolina prior to seeing the light, seeing the Garnet lights, as I should say?
Yeah, well, I mean, we did a show about 2 weeks ago where we ranked the SEC quarterbacks, and I had Lenoir Sellers number 1, but I was just surprised so many people were in agreement with me, because usually I say things and most people disagree with me, but on this one they finally agreed. I thought it would be Arch Mania. I thought it would be Garrett Nussmeier, who, again, these are fine players. DJ Lagway, of course, he's a really good player. I think Lagway is the second best quarterback in the conference. But just people that I trust, really think Lenore Sellers is a special talent, as do I. I've been calling him the closest thing to Cam Newton in this conference since that epic run that Auburn went on. And another thing I've said about Sellers is from week 1 to week 12, there wasn't a player in the SEC and probably the country that took as big a step as he did. And if he can continue that progression, I mean, South Carolina is going to make the college football playoff.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, we've had people like sit here. I mean, Brooks Austin came by yesterday, and on Tyler Head's show, and he was talking about Lenore Sellers isn't just the best quarterback in the SEC; he's the best quarterback in America. And I think that conversation is going to increasingly heat up too. And I think a lot of that is Nick Harbor as well. I mean, like everybody, like the casual college football fan knows of Nick Harbor as the super fast guy on the video game, but possesses real Olympic track speed. And now he's finally had a full spring, in the system. He didn't do indoor track this spring. He finally got that full off season that's really appropriate for developing into a talent. But what's kind of, I guess, the perspective from people that you talk to, and maybe even your audience about maybe the surrounding cast on offense that can help elevate a quarterback already as good as Lenoris is?
Yeah, I'm glad you say that because everybody, like you said, already kind of knows Nick Harbor from the recruitment and being a cheat code on the video game. But I love Mazio Bennett. I mean, he came out as a true freshman and displayed his talent year 2 in the system. And I also think you got to give Shane Beamer a ton of credit and his coaching staff, obviously. They mine the transfer portal for a lot of guys that you're getting a lineman from Yale. You're getting a D2 running back. Like, what in the world are we doing here? Yet he gems these guys and turns them into elite players. And even a guy like Rocket Sanders, I wouldn't necessarily throw him into that category because he was a good player at Arkansas, but he had taken a big step back. And then he comes to Columbia, South Carolina, and he was arguably the most productive running back in the conference last season. So I would tell you that there's a lot of names. I think the most casual college football fans have no clue who's on South Carolina's roster right now that they've plucked out of the portal that are going to be household names by the end of the fall.
All right, Michael, how do we as South Carolina fans deal with this? Because this is territory that we're not used to being to. Obviously, you being an SEC guy, this is territory we're not used to being. We're talking best quarterback in the nation. You're making bold declarations about us going to be in the CFP. Give us some advice as fans of how do we deal with this newfound fame around the SEC and around the world.
Well, trust me, I think South Carolina fans already know because I hear the chirping. That's all I hear is chirping. Not just South Carolina. I'm not calling them out, but basically anybody in the SEC. So, yeah, I would just scream it from the mountaintops, put my chest out. And heck, we haven't even talked about Dylan Stewart. I think he's the best defensive player in the conference. And I told Shane Beamer came by our booth. We interviewed him here at Media Days. So you can go check that out on our channel. But I told him, hey, you got the best offensive and the best defensive player in this conference. And I just wanted his thoughts on that because I think he is legitimately the only coach in this conference that you can say that to. I don't think there's another claim among the 16 that can say that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the roster, it's like you have the quarterback and you have the guy that disrupts the other team's quarterback. And that's a pretty good baseline to have, even if you think you have to fill in a lot of spots everywhere else. But I finally did what my favorite thing to do here every year is fill out, the all SEC preseason team and then do the rankings of how you project the season to move forward. I knew coming into this, I was probably going to pick Texas to win the league, and I picked them this year. But one of those reasons why, in terms of opening my eyes to how loaded that roster is, when I was filling out my ballot, I was like, I got a lot of Texas dudes on here. Like they just have a lot of dudes. Do you think that they're now maybe finally built with a lot of those guys come back for an extra year and all the retention that they were able to have, that they can get past that Georgia hump? Because that was really their kryptonite last year.
Yeah, no doubt. I certainly could see it, but this is not a bold take by any means. I think it will come down to Texas, Georgia, but the team I have winning the conference is Alabama.
Okay.
So I think it'll be one of those three. Honestly, I would be a little bit surprised if it's anybody other than those two. I do got Bama and Texas in the SEC championship game, but yeah, I think the thing that's good for Texas is everybody's talking about Arch, and most people are not focusing on the fact that I think Texas is going to have an elite defense yet again, and I think they got 2 running backs that are going to be playing in the NFL soon. And Sarkisian really likes to run the ball. I think they're not going to rely on Arch like people like the Heisman frontrunner. To me, that's a joke.
Yeah.
And I think Arch is a really good player. And if he comes back, which I hear he probably will for his senior year, then we can start the Arch Heisman campaign, and he'll probably win it at that point. But he's not winning it this year.
You just said something I find very interesting because we've been talking about South Carolina and how we know our quarterback situation. But then on the flip side, you picked Bama, and they, at least to us on the outside, don't know their quarterback situation. Do you have any intel or insight into why you think that's going to work for Bama?
Not really, but I like the guys they got. Again, all the 3 teams I just threw out there, Georgia and Texas, right? I think they're just as big a question marks as Alabama, and I don't understand why Ty Simpson is thrown under Gunnar Stockton and even Arch Manning, because we all know Arch Manning is more about a product of his name than anything else. Today, again, I think he's going to be the best of that bunch, but today he's on equal footing as Ty Simpson. This is more of confidence in Kalen DeBoer. They're bringing back offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. They have elite receivers. They should have a top 3 offensive line in the conference. I really think, and Alabama's defense, I think, is going to be really nasty. The fact they don't play Texas, I think that helps. They do play Georgia, but they own Georgia. Come on, I'm picking Bama to beat Georgia. They always beat them.
That's okay. I kind of been even without Nick Saban there. I think last year Kalen DeBoer picked up on that tradition of Alabama beating Georgia and being Georgia's boogeyman in the SEC. He's Michael Bratton from That SEC Podcast. Michael, A, thanks for coming by. B, where can they find your podcast?
Yeah, it's That SEC Podcast on every podcast platform. #1 rated SEC show on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. Just search that or search SEC Mike, and you'll see more of my shenanigans on there.
We love shenanigans. That's what we excel in as a program around here. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the guest tour continues. Tyre Richardson from Hold That Line in Arkansas going to come by and talk about what the Hogs are looking like with Sam Pittman speaking today. That is next here on the Early Game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. You know, we had to do a bunch of demolition, had to take everything down to the studs in the kitchen due to a flood. CHW Cabinetry was there to help us get through that stressful time, help us pick out what cabinetry might be best. Kind of some fun accessories in there as well. Got the photorealistic rendering of our finished kitchen before it was even done. And that gave us something that we could take so we could pick out backsplashes and countertops, flooring. Not gonna lie, we may have stolen an idea or two that was in that photorealistic rendering for our backsplash because we thought, wow, that looked pretty nice. But they do more than kitchens. You want to update maybe your pantry, just want to update a cabinet in a bathroom, maybe update a closet. You can do that as well. Just visit chwcabinetry.com or call them at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. The earlier tie-up that was slowing things down significantly, I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard, that has been cleared. So if it's still slow going, it's going to get better because that has been cleared. I-20 westbound at Wilson Boulevard. Accident still in progress. Augusta Highway between Ermine Road and Watling Road. I-20 westbound just after Alpine Road. And I-20 westbound at 277. There is a report there as well. And as far as your forecast goes, yep, it's going to be a hot several days ahead of us. We're looking for a high today of 92. Heat index potentially about 102. It's going to be 97 tomorrow and Saturday. Heat indexes both days about 105. It's 80 right now, but feels like 86 on the early game.
Our SEC Media Day coverage this season here in Atlanta brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health Columbia offers convenient expert back care for all men looking to feel and perform their best. Give them a call at 803-919-7886 to book an appointment. Now, I'm sitting across from Tyler Head right now, and we have shared an affinity for Creed. It was one of those bands that listened to a ton of as a kid and became the rallying cry. It kind of got back into some popularity when they turned into a rallying cry for the Texas Rangers when they end up winning the World Series back a few short years ago. And they're going to be playing at Daniels Island's Credit One Stadium in Charleston. That is on Thursday, July 24th. And yes, we have tickets. So if you just text Creed, the first person to text in with the word Creed with your email address and your full name will be receiving tickets, a pair of tickets for their Summer of 99 tour. So again, text Creed, full name, and your email address. Still waiting on Ty Richardson from Hit That Line, ESPN Arkansas, to sit here and join us because Sam Pittman speaks today. Still waiting on him, but Preston Thorne, I find Arkansas to be one of the harder teams to project because I'm not going to lie, I love Taylor Green at quarterback. I think he's the most underrated quarterback in the Southeastern Conference. I love what they have on the offensive line. Every year, they excel on the Biggins Index. I just don't know if there's enough at the other, what we'd consider skill positions, to make me feel good about making them crack the top 12 of the league.
Ooh, crack the top 12. That's
Right.
that's an interesting statement.
Crack
Okay,
the top 12,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the conference.
Yeah, crack the top 12 of the conference. Okay, first of all, Uncle Sam, see, cooler than it was last year, but still on the back burner of warm.
Yep, I think I had him in the fire marshals on call tier
Mhm.
earlier this week.
Mm-hmm. So the fire marshal's still on call. Now, that being said, with the fire marshal on call, is their offensive coordinator possibly having lighters / matches and/or gasoline in his office just in case things need to be done? Because he does have a history of this.
He does, and I would say he doesn't just have it in his office. I think he's got them planted around the building, the facility, ready to burn it down at a moment's notice. He is kind of the Grim Reaper whenever he becomes a coordinator somewhere, and especially in a place like Arkansas, where clearly the sins of one Bobby Petrino have been forgiven because he's been welcomed back. And the nostalgia of the Darren McFadden teams, that backfield with Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, and Peyton Hill, it's one of the best college backfields of all time. The Wildcat offense, that nostalgia is going to kick in, and fans are going to long for more. And this team is, as constructed, isn't built to be remotely close to a contender in the league right now. And I think there's going to be some reflection at the end of the year for Uncle Sam, which is unfortunate because he is one of my favorite coaches in the league.
Yeah, he's actually a great personality, one of the people who actually says things. He's interesting, he's funny, he's engaging, but none of that saves you when you're losing ball games. And so it buys you a little bit of time. Obviously, like you said, I don't know how much of the Arkansas fan base has had to hold their nose. I'm thankful that offensive coordinator is not our offensive coordinator, so we don't have to put ourselves through these mental gymnastics of trying to separate the man from the message, or the art from the artist, whatever. We don't have to do that here, so that's a fine thing. But you take all that away, the dude can dial them up, man. And so with a quarterback like that, I feel like they still have a shot to even, as you said, to crack the top 12.
And I have them at 14, at the, when I submitted my vote. It's a weird thing because they could be 14 and still get like one big win on the season. I feel like the league is full of spoilers, right? For that 11 to 16 spot, I would say 11 to 15 spot, I'm going to exclude Kentucky. I put them last. I'm not a Kentucky believer.
You putting Kentucky in the basement?
I put him in the basement. I put him in the basement. I'm not a believer. Unfortunately for them, I don't think the rent a quarterback strategy works very well for them because they kind of have to reshuffle what they do on a year in, year out basis. I don't love the consistency. I thought they lost so much in the portal. Brought in a couple of good pieces, but I think they lost more than they gained, and they've slipped in high school recruiting. I'm not, and the vibes around Mark Stoops in that program have gotten ugly, especially after the infidelity with Texas A&M. Folks don't forget that. They don't forget that around those parts. But even in terms of the spoiler group, like Mississippi State could be a spoiler. I don't love the roster, and of course they were really bad last year in what was essentially a year zero for Jeff Lebby. But that offense is one to where if they catch you on a good day and they end up throwing for 450 yards, which I think Blake Shapen is capable of doing, it can get really interesting in a game when they're playing somebody they're not supposed to beat. And I think Arkansas can be that just because of the quarterback they have in place and Petrino's his ability to dial up a really dangerous offense.
Do you have the schedule in front of you?
The schedule?
There, yes.
Coach, can you talk about your schedule?
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up as we speak.
Because I guess what I'm just curious about is there going to be a game? Because I'm not going to pay Arkansas much attention because when they're not on our schedule, they're bottom fourth of the league. Is there going to be a game where early in the season where they potentially win and I'm saying, oh, what's going on in Fayetteville?
So they start off with Alabama A&M, Arkansas State.
No.
They're at Ole Miss.
Maybe.
At Memphis. They got Notre Dame this year.
No, you already said it. It's going to be that Ole Miss game.
I
right?
think it could be the Ole
They
Miss
should be 2-0 going into that game, barring any catastrophes, 2-0 going into that game. And then maybe that's the time where they slip up and either A, play them close, or maybe beat Ole Miss, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I'm starting to pay attention to this team.
We got Ty Richardson with us right now. Ty, we'll keep you in the next segment too. Got about a minute here left. We're talking about Arkansas right now, and we're looking. Oh, you're fine. Yeah, dude. I know how it is around here. It's hectic. But this Arkansas team I find intriguing. I don't know if they have enough around Taylor Green, but I feel like they can be a spoiler. I feel like they can slip up and beat somebody. I think Preston and I have identified that Ole Miss might be that perfect trap game for somebody.
Well, that'd be awesome to, like you said, to start that week 3 first SEC matchup. Ole Miss plays Kentucky the week before, so they'll have a little taste of SEC action. They want revenge for what happened in Vaught Hemingway last year. But who knows? Arkansas playing Austin Simmons in his first home game. You just never know.
You never know. There's plenty of traps right here. We'll keep Ty through the break, and we'll also give our winners for the show. And, we'll have a celebrity winner picker, and that's going to be Ty Richardson as well from Hit That Line at Arkansas. Sam Pittman speaks today in the last day of SEC Media Days. We do that to round out the show next on the early game.
Man, I'm sorry. I literally look at this, and I gave you this. I crossed it off 8:30 with the light, and I was working on some.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Oh, it happens, man. Our coverage of SEC Media Days brought to you by Lexington Discount Homes. Lexington Discount Homes, one of South Carolina's leading retailers of manufactured homes. Go to LexingtonDiscountHomes.com to find out more. Final segment of the early game this morning. I'm Elijah Campbell. He's Preston Thorne. She's Jen Jensen. Back at the Hernan Chevy Studios. And my man Ty Richardson from Hit That Line, ESPN Arkansas, is our guest celebrity winners picker. Because at the end of each show, Ty, we pick winners.
Let's go
for the show.
All right.
So
make some money.
And we'll let you take the broader approach here at SEC Media Days. Who won SEC Media Days to you?
Who won SEC Media Days? Probably Lane Kiffin.
Okay.
I mean, it's really it's not concrete through 3 days. I hope. Drink is going to say something today that ticks people off, but Lane Kiffin.
Drink ticks a lot of people off.
Yeah,
especially around these parts. I know Preston's not a fan.
That would be me. Yes, and so I am waiting for our guy Eli Dorkowitz to say something today. I'm sure he would do something. My winning is not going to be a person today, Elijah and Ty. My winning is going to be a number. And Elijah, you said this earlier, but Virginia Tech going 0-5 in one-score games last year sounds pretty good to me. And also when you combine that with the 1-12 over Brent Pryde's career, that's interesting. That enters into the territory of when a thing becomes a thing.
Yes, that is certainly becoming a thing, and something that we're going to hone in on a lot once we get into the game. And here in 45 days, just a stone's throw away from where we're sitting right now. And on our day, also 7, potentially a magic number for Arkansas, for us to keep one of our favorite coaches in the league employed and avoid the Grim Reaper of Bobby Petrino that is just lurking in the background.
Yeah, Ty, we love Sam Pittman, man. Y'all got to win some games so we can keep him around the SEC.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of Arkansas fans, Preston, that feel that exact same way, man. I tend to think that number, like Elijah just said, is 7. But you never know. It was just so odd. No SEC coach let go of after last year. I mean, I thought Billy Napier was signed, sealed, delivered out the door. And yet after last season, 16 head coaches kept their job. And I don't remember the last time that's happened, but it's been a while.
Yeah. I need to go back and look and see when the last time that was, because the Carousel is a frequent visitor to the Southeastern Conference. But one thing that we like about Arkansas, because on this show, Ty, we have created the Biggin Index. We love the big boys up front, and you are a biggin if you are at least the baseline is 6'3", 315 pounds.
Okay.
And we tallied it up from last year's rosters. Arkansas, second in the SEC in biggins. They had 18 of them. 18 of them. That is a fun cultural part of Arkansas, which makes Arkansas a secondary favorite here on the early game.
Well, you always like those defensive line. Preston, I know you played up front. I think about like Terrence Cody's the one that always comes to mind for me for Alabama.
Oh, quintessential.
I mean, you talk about a big Mount Cody. I mean, Terrence was unbelievable. I blocked that kick against Tennessee
with his armpit.
Yeah, he's just a different. So I like that. I didn't know that about Arkansas, but now I can talk about learning from Elijah and Preston that Arkansas is second in biggins in the SEC.
Well, we know that's after Sam Pittman's heart. We know that's where his heart lies, and we know that's what he's here for. Really quickly with the vibe around Arkansas right now. I know you indicated that a lot of people do like that. What are people feeling going into this season?
Man, it's very mediocre type of feeling. Mm-hmm. I mean, 6-6, kind of bowl eligibility. There's not a lot of optimism, Preston, for Arkansas football, and I don't blame fans for thinking that. You have these off seasons, right, where you hone in on something, and I guess Taylor Green is the guy that they're locking into because he's a guy that had some exciting plays last year, but he doesn't have anyone to throw the ball to.
That's an issue.
That's an that's an issue.
A little bit of an issue.
Yeah.
I love Taylor Green. I'm outside of maybe the state of Arkansas. I might be Taylor Green's number
biggest
one
fan.
truther.
Heck yeah.
I am a truther of him, and he's so exciting to watch that I'd like to see just a couple of those guys step up to make him matter more on a national level.
Yeah, he's a guy that I think if you saw him in another uniform this season, he would be a preseason all SEC pick. But he's at Arkansas. He doesn't have the talent around him, so he's not going to be that. Talon had struggles last year. He came from Boise State and to Arkansas. There's always transition when you go from a group of 5 to the toughest Power 4 conference in college football. So hopefully there's just improvement. But again, guys, it's like you lose Andrew Armstrong, you lose Isaac Tesla, you lose Isaiah Satania, you lose Luke Haas. I mean, he just doesn't have any of the same continuity from the wide receiver and skill position group from last year.
And before we end up getting you out, because we're probably going to wrap things up in about 30 seconds or so, is there a thirst in Arkansas to bring back the South Carolina series?
I like it. You mentioned the good old days earlier. I mean, Spurrier or Petrino, those were some awesome games. I'd be for it. I'd be for it 100%, Elijah.
I'm absolutely thirsty for it as well. That is the early games time here at SEC Media Days. This is Ty Richardson from Hit That Line, Arkansas, ESPN Arkansas. Thank you, Preston. Thank you, Jen. Thank you for tuning in. Tyler Head and the Extra Point. That's next.